Hi guys, in this video here, I really want to kind of just talk about the actual battery that's in our smartphone. And it's these same lithium ion batteries here that we're using inside of our electric vehicles today. And I've always really suspected that there very well could be a destructive energy field that's kind of coming off these batteries. And this could be very harmful to the human body because we have to remember that whenever we're using our phone, our body is in constant contact with the phone. I mean, we have our phone sitting in our hand most of the time. And even when we're not using our phone, we carry it around in our pocket. We maybe carry it around in our back pocket. So this means that this battery is like, it's almost very close to being in direct contact with the body. So I just really wanted to kind of use this video here to kind of just share my insight with you guys on really what I'm seeing here. And it's kind of just based on this model that I'm starting to build in other videos, which I'm going to come back to here in a few minutes. But Jesse and I have really been kind of doing some experiments with this behind the scenes here because with the nature of her business, she seems to use her cell phone quite often. And we've done a lot in the background here to kind of make sure that she's best protected. I mean, we don't use Wi-Fi in our home. We've talked about this. I've even got her using this network adapter that I've talked about in other videos so that she's actually hardwired into her phone. So the cell phone signals from the cell phone towers, that's not a problem here. And she's even got a protective case that she puts her phone in that's supposed to kind of help with the battery and the energy field coming off this battery. But really what we're finding, and even what I'm finding as well, because I've been using my cell phone a lot more than what I normally have been, what I'm finding when I actually hold my cell phone in my hand, especially when I'm watching like YouTube videos, what I'm finding is that I feel some like sharp shooting pains kind of coming up my forearm. And my hands and even my wrists, they start to feel a little bit numb and even a little bit tingly in some cases. And this is not normal. I never have these symptoms unless I'm actually using my cell phone for long periods of time. And I know Jessie has been experiencing all kinds of symptoms with this as well. And her, to the extent of what she's experienced, seems to kind of go all the way up her arm and even all the way down her spine sometimes when she's using her phone for long periods of time. So clearly there is something going on here, guys. And like I said, we have optimal type of protection in our environment here, like from using the network adapter to using the case on our phone. We've got scalar technology kind of running in the background here that we actually use Blue Shield. We've even got these holographic kind of scalar type of stickers that you can put on your phone that claim to kind of help with the electromagnetic radiation that's coming off your phone. I mean, we have it all. We have all of this stuff kind of running here, but we're still experiencing these issues. So clearly there's something going on here that a lot of these technologies can't quite touch. And this is what I want to get into because I see something that could be really going on here that we may not have been able to see yet. Now, I also wanted to kind of just direct your attention here to the left-hand side of your screen. You can see I got an article kind of posted here from a website called Drive Electric Colorado. And within the electric vehicle community here, it's kind of well known within the scientific community that these batteries that are in our electric vehicles, because these batteries are mostly like they're on the floor of the electric vehicle. And when you're sitting in one of these things, you're kind of sitting right on top of these batteries. And they've always claimed that really there's no health risk with these energy fields or anything that's coming off these batteries. There's nothing to worry about. And that's kind of what it's saying here in this article. There's kind of an electric vehicle myth here. I'm just going to read it. It says you can get cancer from the battery in an electric vehicle. And that's kind of the question that's, the statement here that's being suggested. And of course, this myth here has been busted where they're actually claiming that the electromagnetic field levels in an electric vehicle's battery poses no risk to your health. So, I mean, this is what they're putting out there. And the batteries that are inside these electric vehicles, I mean, they're much higher capacity than the batteries that are inside your smartphone. So if there's really no risk to these batteries inside your electric vehicle, then there's really definitely no risk inside your phone. I mean, this is kind of what I'm getting from this. And I want to challenge that. And I want to just kind of, like I said, give you my insight here on to kind of what it is that I'm seeing here. Now, I want to just kind of quickly just walk through how really a basic battery kind of operates. And you can see down here on the left-hand side of your screen here, I got a basic kind of lithium ion battery cell. And really what a lithium ion battery is it's really a DC battery. And what DC stands for is it stands for direct current. And we're going to come back to this in a second, but really this battery, it's just really made up of four key components. You can see here in blue, we've got the anode terminal. This is the negative terminal of the battery. On the right-hand side, you can see here we got the positive terminal, which is called the cathode. And in the center here, you can see we've got a separator, the third component here. It kind of separates the negative from the positive charge of the battery. And inside this battery, what we've got is we've got an electrolyte. And really what this is made of in a lithium ion battery, what it is, it's really a lithium kind of salt solution. And when we take this battery and we actually connect it into your phone and connect all the parts inside your phone here that actually need power, what actually happens here is there's an electric current that flows. And you can see that's kind of depicted here in green. And it kind of starts here from the negative terminal here. And that electric current kind of flows out of the negative terminal. And what we've got is we've got these lithium ions, these positively charged lithium ions that actually flow from the negative terminal across all the way to the positive terminal. And they come out of the positive terminal and they actually go in and they power your device or all the devices inside your phone, and that electric current kind of returns back to the negative. Now, whenever we're dealing with an electric current here, what we're dealing with is really the flow of electric charge. And this is really now what kind of really becomes important to see, because in this lithium ion battery, what we're dealing with is a direct current. And what a direct current is it's an electric current that seems to be very constant, very steady. It's not actually changing its motion like an alternating current would. An alternating current is constantly kind of changing its motion, and that's where frequency is involved. But in a DC electric current, that is not actually what's happening here. And if I direct your attention just really quickly, just over to the right-hand side here, you can see whenever we're actually dealing with electricity, what we're dealing with really fundamentally is just a play of the electric and the magnetic field. This is really kind of what we're dealing with here. And whenever we're dealing with an electric field, you can see here I've got a positive and a negative kind of electric charge here. And whenever we're dealing with a positive electric charge, this is where the electric field is really sourced from. Now, if we actually come back to this battery cell here, you can see what we're dealing with is actually the flow of these lithium ions. And really what an ion is, it's really just a charged entity. And in this case, it's actually a positively charged lithium atom that's kind of flowing across this battery cell. So whenever these lithium ions are kind of flowing here, there's going to be an electric field present, because the electric field is sourced from a positively charged entity here. But since we're dealing with a direct current, what's actually believed to be happening here is that as this current is kind of flowing around this loop here, there's an electrostatic kind of charge, or an electrostatic field here, that's actually moving along with this electric current. So this electrostatic field is kind of moving along this current path. But we have to remember that this electrostatic field, it's not changing its motion. It's very static, it's very constant in its behavior here. And what's very important to see with this is that whenever we have an electric field like this that's not changing its motion, it does not produce a magnetic field. It does not produce a changing magnetic field. Now, it's the current belief that actually it produces a very static magnetic field. And I'm not so sure if that's truly what's going on here, guys. But really the key point that I really want to make with this description that I'm trying to show you guys is that since we're dealing with this type of direct current, with this electrostatic field here that's not changing its motion, I have no meters to actually detect this energy that's being produced as this electric current is flowing. I don't have any meters for this. And no EMF specialist actually will, because this electrostatic field, it's not changing. And it's not producing a magnetic field at all. So this is really the key reason why we believe that this really poses no threat to the human body because of this. But really, in my view, guys, I don't know if we have the true roots of what's going on here accurate. Now, if we actually come back here to the top left corner here, you can see we got the lithium atom here. And these are the ions that are kind of flowing across this battery cell. Now, if you look at the very basic description of the atom, and I've talked about this many times in other videos, as you can see, we've got the electron around the actual atom. And the electron is what kind of gives it its kind of space-time kind of geometry here. The electron is very involved in that. And the electron is what actually possesses, it's the key particle, the key entity here that actually possesses this electric charge property. But really what I've shown in all the work that I'm doing is that it may actually have never been an electron that actually is orbiting around the atomic nucleus. That may have actually never truly happened in nature before. And I'm actually suggesting it's actually the rotating magnetic field that's giving everything on the periodic table its space geometry, its space-time geometry. It's coming from this rotating magnetic field circuit here. And all my work that is showing, and I've done a lot of work on my YouTube channel to kind of show this, is that the electron and all of the electric charge, it's actually stored inside the proton. And it's stored in a dimension of space that's not even physical. And there's really an enormous amount of science done to support this theory here. So much science, but it's been really rejected by the conventional scientific community. And for reasons we're not going to get into that in this video, but it's important to see that this model exists. And what's very important now with this new model that I'm trying to show you guys is that as these lithium ions are kind of flowing across this battery cell, and even when we actually charge the battery, what we're doing when we're charging the battery is we're actually storing more electric potential into the battery. And it's actually being stored kind of in this electrolyte kind of solution here. So really it's being stored into these atoms in some manner. And with the model that I have, it's actually being stored inside the actual proton and being stored inside of a dimension of space that's not even physical. And when these lithium ions now are being forced to kind of move from the negative terminal to the positive terminal, what actually emerges out of this with the theory that I have is that this concentration of electric charge here that's not physical, it's actually generating the rotating magnetic field here in the physical world, which is what's really giving all the elements on the periodic table of the elements its space-time geometry. So if what I'm suggesting here has any truth to it at all, which I think that it does, this completely changes what is actually truly going on here inside this battery cell. And all of the electrical activity that's happening here, we'll never ever be able to measure it because all of our measuring tools are not designed based on this knowledge that I'm trying to share with you guys. All of our meters would have to be we have to reevaluate everything to really show evidence of what I'm trying to suggest here. Now, I wanted to see if I could actually try and put this into a little bit better perspective for you guys, so you can kind of see the bigger picture here of what it is I'm trying to show you guys. Now, if we look down here in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see this is the periodic table of the elements. And up here in the top left corner, you can see here's lithium. That's actually element number 3 here. And if you kind of zoom over to the top left-hand corner here, you can see I'm circling. This is the very atomic kind of structure of what we believe lithium kind of looks like, where we've got the proton and the neutron kind of in the center, and we've got the electron kind of orbiting around. And what I'm really proposing here is that this entire periodic table that you see here could very well be simulated by this rotating magnetic field circuit, which I truly think is universal. And this might be the field here, this field of information that's running in the background that may be responsible for how really this space-time kind of geometric manifold kind of emerges, what it emerges out of. And it could be this rotating magnetic field circuit that could be responsible for that. And that's truly what I see here. And if you look at the rotating magnetic field circuit here that I've got kind of shown here in the top of your screen, you can see there's a red dot kind of in the center there. Now this would be where the electron would be. The electron and all the electric charge seems to be concentrated inside the atomic nucleus. It's actually inside the proton, which is a completely different model than what you would see in quantum field theory today, which seems to be our best model that we have. And it's telling us that the proton and the neutron has actually been replaced by something that's actually called quarks. And what I'm suggesting is that may not be truly accurate. We actually have to go inside the proton, and we might get a completely different model here. And I've done some work already on my YouTube channel to kind of model this a little bit for you, so you can kind of see the bigger picture of really what kind of scientific work has been done to support this, because all the mathematics has been done to support this. So there's an enormous amount of work that has been done here, guys, that has really been kind of buried, and I kind of want to try and bring this back to light here. Now, if you look at this rotating magnetic field circuit a little closely here, you can see this is actually just giving you a different kind of model of really the nature of atoms. And you can see instead of the electron kind of orbiting around the nucleus, what we've got is actually, this is the very nature of the rotating magnetic field. And the proton is actually what takes you, kind of operates like a black hole, which takes you into this non-physical dimension of space where the electron and all the electric charge truly is. And the neutron is something that represents a little bit different in this model. And you'll also see that if this circuit is truly universal, which I think that it is, then what that means is that none of these elements on this periodic table can truly be isolated, which means we can never actually have lithium in its true isolated form. Everything on the periodic table seems to be entangled with one another because it's all simulated by this rotating magnetic field circuit. And when you look at the nature of lithium here, when we get back to this lithium ion battery cell, where you can see lithium kind of moving from the negative over to the positive, this lithium ion here is something that's really completely synthetic in its nature. Because lithium itself, when we look at how lithium, where it comes from, it really comes from rock, from igneous types of rock like granite. This is really a fundamental source on where we get lithium from. And then we have to put that granite type of substance through some very invasive type of processes to kind of extract the lithium out. So there's nothing natural about this at all. It's completely synthetic. But if the rotating magnetic field circuit is kind of simulating the behavior of that lithium ion, then what I see here is that this battery cell itself will 100% be giving off a very, very distorted type of energy field here because of this manipulation that we're kind of doing here to these elements inside this battery, and how we're kind of forcing these elements to kind of move through the battery cell by means of this DC electric current. Now, I know this is some heavy stuff here that I'm throwing out there. I know that, and I really need to kind of keep trying to talk about this in whatever way that I can, so you guys can see this, because I think this is something that we truly need to explore here, because we may not be able to see this very distorted type of energy field that's coming off these batteries and causing potentially, a lot of harm to the human body here. Now, just going back to kind of, looking at some of the technologies that Jesse and I have used, but we're actually using already in our own home to kind of protect ourselves from some of these EMFs. I mean, we have a number of different scalar type of energy devices here. And like I said before in the beginning of this video, our hands are in contact with the battery and making contact to this very distorted energy field that's coming off the battery. I mean, these technologies don't seem to help here. They don't get to the level that we need to get to help us here. And that's because of where all this electric potential is kind of being stored inside the battery and how this true electric current kind of operates here. It's much deeper than I think we've come to know. And it's operating inside a dimension of space that's not physical. And these devices here, these holographic type of stickers and these other scalar type of devices, they can't get to that space. And that might be one of the reasons, that might be the main reason here why these batteries are still causing there's a potential threat here that we need to really seriously consider. Now, there are some things here that Jesse and I have noticed that appear to help with the energy field here that's coming off this battery. And one of them is actually the case that we're using here on our phones. And we're using a very special case here that kind of blocks the electromagnetic radiation that kind of comes off the phone. And we're suspecting that this may actually help with actually the battery here as well. And what Jessie has done here, she's had more kind of experience with this than I have, is that she actually uses these special shielding gloves here that you see. And what she's been doing is she's actually using these gloves to kind of hold the cell phone in her hand, even when it's in this special case. And when she does this and she uses her phone for long periods of time, what she's found is that it seems to really, really help with a lot of these symptoms that she's been noticing when she uses her phone for a long time. And I really wanted to kind of share this with you guys because when we look at some of the protection devices that we have on the market, like some of these scalar type of technologies, I mean, they're claiming that you're protected from EMF. And they're also claiming that in some cases, you don't even need to use any type of shielding devices at all with their products. And with a lot of the work that Jesse and I are doing here and the experiments that we're doing here, that is not the truth. And it has to do with these batteries here and these energy fields that are coming off these batteries. And these scalar type of devices, they can't get to the roots of what's going on here. And this is truly what I believe, and this is what I see. And I just wanted to kind of just give you guys a little bit of my insight on this. I know this is some heavy stuff that we've talked about, but I'm trying to do my best here to try and talk about this in the best way that I can, because I see something different here. The fundamental science that we have here to describe the nature of electricity and matter, I don't see the same world. And I just want to share with you guys kind of the world that I do see. And I hope this video was helpful. And I'm going to end here. And I thank you guys for watching.